like I was saying, the day in the life, man. Putting in work, really nothing to it but the door. A little bit of work, that's all. These tradesmen, like I keep saying, them skills pay the bills. Gang got paid for a cool 10 minutes worth of work. It's a broken water main. There's nothing I can really do outside of shutting the water off. It's 11 o'clock that night. There's nothing I can do, outside of shutting the water off for the people, and then we'll revisit it tomorrow morning. Call Miss Utility, have Miss Utility come out so they can mark, see where, and if any electric and things of that nature is in the way, before every dig, you got to call Miss Utility. But, have them come out, do their due diligence, and then from there, we bring out the machinery, get to digging. Dig a hole, turn the water back on so we can exactly pinpoint. I'm going to put these cones down now so I know around about where it is, so Mr. Utility also know where it is, but in the same sense, so that we're able to truly pinpoint where it is and just get to digging. You know what I mean? But again, that's tomorrow. That's for the AM. Right now, couple dollars just to come shut the water off. Just to come shut water off. That's the type of things that we deal with on a daily basis, though. These cones down. Come put the cones down to mark where the area was. This utility can come out, do what they need to do tomorrow so we can start on what we need to do. Just that simple. That easy. Ain't nothing else for me to do today. Hell out of here and wait for another call. Quick couple dollars. Nothing major. Quick couple dollars, nothing really major. Go back, kick my feet up until I get another call. Hopefully I'm done with the calls for the night, but really, and really I don't have to take them. But why not get the extra money? Christmas, spend a lot of money on the family, on the kids, things of that nature for Christmas. Why not recoup some of that money, Why not recoup some of that money? Yeah, this is the type of thing that we do, though. It's the type of thing that, that's why I was explaining on one of the posts I've made. What are you going to do in the world without those hard men? When things break, motherfucker seatbelt. When things break down, those hard men that come and, take care of the things that we have going on. What are you going to do in the world without those hard men? Without those individuals to come and repair whatever necessary repairs need to be made? What are we going to do? What are we going to do in the world without those skilled tradesmen? Those individuals that see to it that we're able to live in lives and our comfortable lives and things of that nature without having to worry about, where this is going to come from or how this is going to be taken care of or who's going to take care of it. The hardest decision they have to make is how much they are truly willing to spend on what it costs, but at the end of the day, that's the cost of living. And who they're going to go to and who they're going to use. That's the biggest decision they make, who you're going to use. And that's one thing about the business. Once you build a rapport with individuals, you start to ultimately build a portfolio, so to speak. You start to almost build a portfolio. Those same individuals tend to use you over and over. They refer you to their friends and family members because of the work that you put in, because of the hard work that you put in, because of your skill set that you're able to show when you do the work, because of what they're able to see in terms of how neat and workmanlike you are. That's important. Make sure that you're always neat and workmanlike. You always maintain a certain level of professionalism. Now, I talk with a slang. I come from Baltimore City. That's how y'all, all you other individuals that ain't from here, that's how y'all say Baltimore. If you're from here, you say Baltimore. But, we ain't chopping it up about that. But yeah, of course, I got a little slang, plus my family from, deeper down south, so that's one of those things you're going to get. But outside of that, you still maintain a level of professionalism. Always be neat and workmanlike. That's a part of the trades. That's a major part of the trades. That's how you continue to have business. You continue to have business. And it doesn't matter whether you work for a company or you have your own business or you do a little bit of both. One thing about tradesmen, you're never going to be without work. And if you are without work, it's really because you're lazy. Trust me when I promise you, it's not a tradesman in the world that's without work. Not a true tradesman that's without work. Not somebody that's true and dedicated to his skill and his profession. If you are without work, it's because you're lazy. It's because you're lazy, or a few other things, a few other obstacles that ultimately you probably threw in the way. A few other obstacles that you probably threw in the way or that you made possible. But a tradesman should always have a job, work to do. You know, and the longer and longer you get to being in these trades, the trades start to overlap. You know, you may have started off a carpenter, and because you've done carpentry for a certain amount of time, you've developed a certain skill set within that trade in and of itself. You start to brush elbows with plumbers more and more often. You start to brush elbows with electricians more and more often. Oftentimes when you have jobs, you all might overlap in general. You got to hurry up and do the framing inside of a whole home so that the plumbers are able to come and run the plumbing, and so that the electricians are able to come and run the electric. Oftentimes it might be a crunch on that home, and the time frame that it need to be done, you all might run into each other. Ultimately, the plumber starts first. You got to build the frame. You got to lay the foundation, and then everybody else come in after that. That was my original trade. I went to school to be a carpenter. You know, went to school to be a carpenter. Graduated from that, and then ended up going back to school for electrician, and then got a job that I didn't necessarily want, but it was something, you know, to get me jump started. I had kids. Well, I had a child at the time that I had to take care of, so it was something to get me jump started. That job in turn sent me back to school. I ain't had to pay for HVAC. So now I'm working with 3 trades under my belt that was able to show me and give me a bigger understanding. And outside of that, prior to me even going to school, I had a job where I was working on cars. You know, minor job. I was a young kid really doing it, so they really wasn't doing a whole lot of working on cars. The only thing they really had me doing was, you know, oil changes, transmission flushes, radiator service, brakes, you know, things of that nature. Fuel system cleaning, you know, things of that nature. They had me doing those type of things, tire rotations, you know, those type of things. But nevertheless, I still learned so much from there. Learn how to drop a change out of oil pan, transmission. Learn how to drop and do those type of things. Learn how fuel system work. You know what I mean? So ultimately, my life was set up to be a tradesman. I always had. I never had a plan of going to college. I always knew that I was going to be a tradesman. College and school ain't for everybody. Trust, I love to read. I love to read and write. I love science. I don't love it that much to go back to school and do another 4, 5, and 6, and 8 years of school. No, I did enough. I graduated, got out of there, went to something that I truly wanted to do, and that was working with my hands. Those are the skills that a lot of these young men need. Those are the opportunities that a lot of our young men in the cities, those are the opportunities that they need. They need to bring those trades back to these school systems. You know, at one point that was in there. They took that out of the school system because they wanted to monetize it. Because when it was in the school, they wasn't getting paid for it. So they figured, let's take it out of the school system. We're able to monetize it. We can get paid to teach these young men the same thing that they were doing. Why? Because them young men that were in school, they were coming straight from high school, jumping in and being able to go and jump into these trades, really jumping in these trades, making $20 and $30 an hour. They said, oh no, we got to cut that out. We can't have them doing that. We need to monetize it. We have them coming fresh out of high school, making $20 and $30 an hour, and we not getting paid for it. So they found a way to monetize it, took it out of the school systems. I feel as if it should be mandatory for every young man or young woman, if that's the case, if she chooses to get into it. I feel like it should be mandatory though for every young man. I don't think it should be mandatory for women. Excuse me. I don't think it should necessarily have to be mandatory for women or young ladies. I think it should be something optional, a decision that the young ladies themselves and or their parents and things of that nature, you know, coach them into. But I don't think it should be something that's mandatory. But on the other hand, for our young men, that should be something that's mandatory. I don't care if you decide that you want to be a lawyer. I don't care if you decide you want to be a politician. Learn how to do the basics. Learn how to do the basics that go a long way. You get you a house, you get you a family, you adopt some responsibility, you get you a house, and then you build a family, you establish a family, and then you maintain that family. You don't know, even if you have the money, It feels so much greater when you're actually able to do it yourself. When your family able to look at you and see that you're doing it yourself, the way your wife look at you. When you're truly able to go underneath that sink, you had that broken faucet, you're able to go underneath that sink, grab your tools, go underneath that sink, and get it done. Oh man, she look at you differently. Trust me when I tell you, she look at you differently. Yeah, and then guess what? Because guess what? Especially when you're a hard man and you go into these houses, and these men, they may have a couple dollars, and that woman, of course, you know, everybody love money. They got a couple dollars, but you go in the house, right? You go in the house, you get a call. Somebody hot water heater go up. Husband don't know what to do. He ain't even shut the water off. He don't know apple from oranges at this point. He working that corporate office. He don't know apples from oranges at this point. He ain't even shut the water off. Still allowing that basement to flood completely. Didn't drain the tank. Don't even know how to drain the tank. Don't know where to start. To make things a lot easier on them. Don't know where to start. This entire basement flooded. More damage than necessary. They call a young man like myself. To come over there, you know, and it only take me a few minutes. A whole hot water heater. Look, check this out. With the hot water heater, to be quite honest, the longest part of the hot water heater, gas or electric really is draining it. It's draining it. That's the hardest part. Draining that hot water heater, getting that water to come out. That's the longest part. Other than that, you cutting it out. You cutting it out, and you either brazing it back in, hard piping it, brazing it back in, which I don't truly do all the time. It depends on the setup. Or if you putting, supply lines, connections on there. And that's either braided hoses or some sort of supply line. But either way, it really don't take that long. You put it back in, disconnect the gas and things of that nature. Of course, shut the water off, drain the tank, cut it out while the tank is draining. All this is while the tank is draining. Get that once it's fully drained, you throw it on that dolly, on that hand truck. Get that old one out of there. You coming back inside with the new water heater. When there ain't no water in there, you coming back inside with this big ass water heater on your shoulders. Yeah, you coming there just carrying the water heater on your shoulders. That man wife looking at you like you crazy, and then she look at him like he crazy. Why you ain't shut the water off? And it's not to really disrespect the man or try to make him. To try to belittle him by any stretch of the imagination. It's more so to school him. I started letting him know the things that he could have done, the preventative maintenance and things that he could have done, to prevent as much damage. And again, it's not to belittle him or degrade him in front of his woman by any stretch of the imagination, but it is to let both homeowners know that for future references, the things that you could do to, minimize some of this damage that you all had to take. Simple things that y'all can do. That's why it's imperative for these young men to learn these basic skills. These basic skills. It takes you a long way, especially when you're talking in terms of home ownership and things of that nature. It take you a long way. But look, I ain't ready to talk y'all head off to death. I just wanted to chop it up a little bit with you about, some of these trades. We're going to have many more. I'm going to take you on some of my electrical jobs. Let y'all see some of the work I put in. Some of the sheds and things of that nature that I've built. I'm going to show y'all this work that I put in. Some of the decks and patios that I've done. Dog houses and kennels that I've done. I get calls for all type of things. Sometimes I have to give, jobs to my different partners and things of that nature because it get overwhelming. I remember it was days that I was praying for work. That I was literally praying for work. I just need something. But once you build that once you build that portfolio, or once you build that reputation of good work and doing good work in a timely manner, and you're neat, you're workmanlike, and you're professional, after a minute it start chasing you. Trust me when I tell you, after a minute, it start chasing you. Let's get this money. Put in work. Put in work. Young men. Young kings. Yeah, put in that work. Yeah, do man shit. Live strong or die weak. Ain't no pressure. We building leaders and creating kings. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this band dog. That's what a band dog is, a working type dog. Dogs never get hungry. They never get hungry. They never get full. I got 2 dogs in the house right now. Them motherfuckers ain't never full. They ain't never satisfied. They always doing work. They always doing work because they always want to eat. They always want to eat. You got to have that mentality, that dog mentality, that working dog mentality. You got to have that in you. You got to have that in you, that band dog mentality. Yeah, band dog, BANDOG, building a national development over generations. Yeah, it's a double entendre. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Black Ops, building leaders and creating kings operation. Bandog, building a national development over generations. We helping our young soldiers, our young warrior kings, grow into something powerful so they're able to do powerful things in their inside of their communities. So they're able to impact their communities in a powerful way. I spent so much time in my life tearing down my communities, doing the wrong things in my communities. I had no choice but to give back. I had no choice but to go acquire a certain skill set so that I was able to give back, so that I'm able to build. I spent so much time tearing it down. I wanted to dedicate my time and services to doing something that can build it back up. And that's where I'm at with it. Holla at y'all till next time. Black Ops Bandog. And again, do man shit. Live strong or die weak.